Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to talk about the next section. This is chapter 11.5. We got to kind of finish up our stuff from 11.4. Warm-up question of the day, what is a limiting factor for plants? So over here you'll see, talk about your homework. Your homework from the other day limiting factor of plants is the amount of sunlight, water, nutrients. Should be D, all of the above. The size of animal populations are limited by plant populations. These things might be limiting factors, but because it's a population, it has to be a living species. Carrying capacity is the blank size of a population that can be supported by an area. It is the greatest amount that can be supported by an area. The area where a type of plant or animal population is found is its habitat. The range is determined by an organism, the blank of the range. This one should be size. The size of the range is determined by the organism's limiting factors. Why are humans able to live in a variety of places on Earth? Well, definitely not us not adapting. We don't have too many limiting factors. I love the beach, but that has nothing to do with this. We can change our habitat to suit our needs. And finally, do changes in the size of plant populations have an effect on the humans? Absolutely. We need plants for food and oxygen. When you guys get a fresh breath of air, you can always thank the plants. Let's jump to your notes. Remember, these are just my topics. We're going to talk about the biomes of the earth. When we cover a biome today, there's a video clip that you guys need to watch at home for each of the biomes. Run the Google Slides that fill in your notes. Watch each video clip of the biomes. Then you're going to read page 264 and 265. The review will pop up for 265. We'll talk more about that as we go. Let's get started. All right. What are biomes? This is actually a map of all of the biomes of Earth. Some of them are more common than others. A biome is a large region of the Earth that has characteristic plant and animal communities. Most common for us, our biome, the deciduous forest biome, often called the temperate deciduous forest. Temperate is our climate. The climate is the average weather in an area over time. It's how warm or how cold the timeline is there. If you have enough rainfall for certain types of trees, we have a lot of hardwood trees here in Pennsylvania. Oaks, maples, beech. If you go north to Canada, they have a lot of evergreens. Canada is a part of the taiga, or oftentimes you'll see it called the coniferous forest. All of your biomes are determined by the temperature and the rainfall are the the two biggest reasons that biomes form in an area. You've got the rainforest, lots of rain. In this tan part, well, that's the Sahara Desert. This is us here in the light green. That's our deciduous forest. The largest biome across the whole northern tier, that's the taiga, that green area there, that teal green. There it is without the words on it. All right, so we're going to talk about the 6 key ones. There's some others. There's one called a chaparral. There's Mediterranean. There's some sea ice that they count. They count polar ice caps. I'm focusing on 6. You got to learn the details of those 6, and we'll go from there. The first one, if you go to the polar ice caps, there's very few things living there. You might find some penguins, you might find some seals, and some polar bears. That's pretty much it. Just south, when you get close to the polar circle or the Arctic circle, you'll start to find the tundra. The tundra has more living things than the polar ice caps because it has warmer temperatures. It's still really, really cold. The tundra is so cold that trees don't grow there. Plants can't get their roots down through the soil because the soil is permanently frozen. We call this permafrost. I have an aunt that when I was growing up, she sold real estate in Alaska. They don't build basements in Alaska because the ground's too frozen and it takes too long to dig up the ground. Your key producers in the tundra. You've got plants like mosses, grasses, and shrubs. And there's this one called the lichen. There's lichens all over the place. We get lichens here, but they tend to grow on the sides of trees. It looks like a green-gray moss. Your book doesn't talk about it, but this is a major producer of there. It's called lichen. It looks like lichen, but it is pronounced lichen. Animals of the tundra. You've got different types of birds. A lot of birds move in and out of the tundra. They don't stay there in the wintertime. You've got wolves, foxes, and reindeer. And then we talked a little bit about permafrost. If you go just south of the tundra, we're now at the taiga. The taiga is a Russian word meaning swamp forest. Basically, you have these coniferous trees, and they are adapted by having cones and by being green, evergreens, to grow in the tundra. They're not the tundra, they grow in the coniferous forest. A lot of it has to do with their shape. Coniferous trees look like Christmas trees. So the snow rolls off of them pretty easy. But our trees around here are shaped like this. When it snows, those leaves catch all the snow and it breaks the branches off. But a coniferous tree, or in this case an evergreen, or the true word of coniferous means cone bearing. Meaning having pine cones, different types of pine cones. So you're going to have all of these evergreen trees, spruce, hemlock, larch, things like that. Pine trees would count. Animals, you're going to have moose. Some parts you might have elk. Some types of deer in some places. Squirrels, rabbits, beavers, known for the taiga. This one you should be the most familiar with. This is our temperate deciduous forest. The deciduous forest is temperate. It has 4 seasons. The word temperate in the word climate means 4 seasons. Spring, where we're at now, summer, which is coming, fall, and winter. We have broadleaf trees. The word deciduous means to lose your leaves. I'm sure all of you guys have helped your parents rake leaves in the fall. We get them all the time, then they come and suck them up. The deciduous trees are the ones that lose their leaves in the fall. You're going to talk about oaks, maples, beech trees, things like that. Because it's warmer in the deciduous, you have more insects, you have more organisms. You have all of the deer and all of the more birds. In the deciduous forest, you start to see a few reptiles. You'll see some snakes and things like that you don't see in the tundra. You don't see snakes in the tundra. It's too cold. Moving south of the deciduous forest, we have the tropical rainforest. To be in the tropics, if this was a globe, and here's the Earth. The tropics run through here. You have the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. You should have had that in geography. In the rainforests, you never lose your leaves. It's always warm, very, very wet. In the rainforest, you're talking 2 meters to up to 4 or 4.5 meters of rainfall a year. So I'm 6'2". 2 meters is over my head. So 4 meters would be more than 2 of me stacked on top of each other of rainfall a year. Very, very warm, very, very wet. Lots and lots of insects. You have what they call a canopy in the rainforest. Your canopy is how all of the trees kind of work together and block out the light below. In the rainforest, you'll have monkeys and all kinds of organisms, birds and insects and frogs that never come down. They live their entire life in the canopy of the rainforest. Grasslands. There are 2 types of grasslands. We're going to focus on the one that's like in general grasslands. Basically, your number 1 plant in the grassland is some sort of grass. There are technically tropical grasslands and temperate grasslands. The tropical grasslands can be in South America or Africa. In Central North America, like the Central Plain states, or in parts of Europe and Asia, they have temperate grasslands. Here, you have moderate temperatures, but less rainfall than we get in the deciduous forest, so that there's not enough rainfall for trees, but there's lots of rainfall for grasses. And over millions of years, the slow decomposition of the grasses makes the grasslands have very, very, very fertile soil. You get large herds of animals. In Africa, you get all those large herds of animals that we love to talk about, like zebras and wildebeest. In America, now there's not the large herds that there used to be, but there used to be large herds of bison or buffalo roaming the plains of America all over the place. The last biome that I want to talk about are the deserts. Some deserts, what we think about deserts, are hot and dry, which most of them are, like Arizona, like the Middle East, like parts of Africa, the Sahara, all hot and dry. There are some deserts that are in Asia, in the mountains of desert called the Gobi Desert, that's actually relatively cold, very, very cold. In the desert, you have to be adapted to the lack of water. Whether that means you have roots that can soak up water very, very quickly. If you're a cactus, you store water in your stems. They have very, very thin needles or no leaves at all, because leaves allow you to lose water. If you're in animals, they often have burrows, because when it gets really hot in the desert and you're going to be losing water, you burrow underground where it's significantly cooler. Many animals have adapted to feed off of these types of plants, or the animals that are feeding off of them, whether it's mice that take their water from the plants, or birds that can extract the juice and use that as their water. All right, I'm going to show you a picture, then I'm going to pause for a second. You figure out which picture that is referring to. All right, picture number 1. Here's a hint. It looks like here. Picture number 2. Definitely not in Pennsylvania. Picture number 3. Number 4 is this large blue area right here. Number 5. Very, very desolate. Thin, small plants growing on the ground. No trees. And finally, herds of animals wandering the plains. So which biome is it? Let's go back and fill in your answer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please, please, please go back. Watch the videos for each of these biomes. They're not that long. It won't take you that long to do it. You open up the Google Slides, start filling in your notes, and watch the biome videos. That'll tell you more about them. Then read 264 to 265. The review for 265 will be popping up. Thank you guys. Be good and stay safe.